Welcome back, Trailblazers. Today is the last day that I have my Chevy Bolt EUV, and I just want to talk you guys through why I think this is the best value entry-level EV that you could possibly buy on the market. This car I bought in 2023, brand new, with 0 miles on it, for $25,000. It has an MSRP of $35,000, but I got a $7,500 federal tax credit, as well as $2,250 from the state that was taken directly off of the MSRP. Mine is the LT model in the ice blue metallic with the two-tone aero disc wheels that came with the interior package upgrade. So mine does have the leather of the Premier. We have this nice dark blue leather seats that are fully electronically adjustable, along with being heated and cooled. But I just want to talk about the value that this car delivers. This car is spec'd with a 65 kilowatt battery, an estimated range of 247 miles. It has 200 horsepower and 266 foot-pounds of torque, as well as a 0 to 60 in under 7 seconds. I believe 6.8 to be exact. It's very luxurious, quiet, and quite quick. And before I trade this car in, I just want to show you guys how good of value something like this can be. Since most EVs depreciate super quickly, these things can be had for a super low price. You can probably get a low mileage one of these for about $15,000, even less if it is a little higher mileage. And the beautiful thing about this thing is it has an 8-year, 100,000 mile warranty on the battery, so you don't really have to worry about your powertrain going bad on these. And if you're shopping for one of these, you can even look into the pre-facelift version of this car. The original ones did have a battery recall, but that means every single one of them was eligible to get a brand new battery pack installed for free from Chevrolet. So if you're shopping for one of the earlier models, it can be an insanely good deal. You might be able to find one that has maybe 150,000 miles that has a brand new pack that was installed maybe a year or two ago that would be warranted for less than $10,000 sometimes. Yeah, when we step inside the car, you'll see why that is such insane value. Starting at the front end, we can start up our car so that the heated seats and steering wheel and climate control will all turn on for us before we step inside. And you can see our LED running lights up here, and these are our headlights down below them. Those only flicker in camera. Moving around to the back, you can see that we have a smoked light bar with just running lights on the back. Our actual taillights are these down here and our turn signals. And we do have a third brake light up here. You can tell that this vehicle is a very comfortable place to be. We have this dark blue leather padding along the door that matches the seats. This is a quick peek of the back seats as well. I'll insert a clip of how much room there is back there. And this is what I look like sitting in the back seat behind myself. I'm 5'6", and I like to be leaned back. Plenty of room. Lots of headroom. It's a pretty comfortable place to sit, to be honest. One thing that Chevy did right about the interior is everything is laid out in a way that makes sense. You have controls you would want on here. All of the trims, even the older ones, came with the dual screens, so you will have a display screen for your dash, as well as a center console like this. Chevy software is super easy to use. If you want to reorder something, you can drag stuff around to where you want it, so that all of the things that you want are easily accessible up here. We have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. As you can see, it's integrated well. We can hit the home button and access all of the Chevy stuff, like our power settings, which I'm not going to go into huge detail. And one thing that's very nice about it is we also have physical buttons all the way across here. And then up here, we have our display. This is our range. This is the guessometer. So this thing is estimated to do 240 miles of range. As you can see, I've put 46,674 miles on this thing in the last 2 years. So let's drive around a little bit, and I'm just going to talk about what I really like about this car, what I don't like about it, and the reason that I am getting rid of it. So let's get into this. Alright, I'm about to take you guys for a drive around, but before we do that, I just want to show you how nimble this vehicle is. The turning radius is incredibly tight. So before we go for a drive, let me just set up a camera so I can show you that. Put it in sport, and then we're just gonna hit reverse, and we can see our bright clear backup camera comes on. We can use the great turning radius of this vehicle to get ourselves parallel before we pull out. You can see our mirror is large and clear and is paint matched. Very nice. So this thing is a very peppy little car, and the handling is quite good for the weight of it and the price. Again, you can find these things for great deals on the used market. We're gonna stop real quick, and we will just, we're not gonna brake boost, but we'll just kind of launch it. So as you can tell, not the fastest car in the world, but it's very punchy. I find that the throttle tuning, at least for launching, is a little inconsistent. Sometimes it'll boost you super hard, but other times the traction control will kick in and stop you from doing it. But at any point, you can stop this thing down, and it can accelerate quite aggressively. I also think that Chevy's tuning for one-pedal driving is some of the best in the industry. You can turn it on and off right here. So if I turn it off, you can see that we coast with minimal regen. If we hit it again, it boosts up our regen levels. But not only that with regen, so I'm just holding this thing steady. You can see that if I let off the throttle, it'll regen, but I have this paddle I can squeeze, which will boost to an additional level of regen. I like this regen paddle. It makes it so in one-pedal driving, you have not one, but 2 levels of regen that you can dip into. That way you can avoid using your mechanical brakes. Speaking of mechanical brakes, they work quite well. They are blended, so if I'm driving and I touch the brake pedal, it'll go into regen before it ever goes into mechanical. This is going to be great for your range. It's going to put more juice back into your battery and save your mechanical brakes. I have almost 47,000 miles on this vehicle, and I've never needed to change my brake pads once. Hit that regen pedal again. Really, this thing is quite sporty. The main limiting factor is going to be these Michelin high efficiency tires. They are a little on the slippery side, but they do make a super quiet ride when you're going down the highway. You can primarily hear the vehicles around you and not your vehicle itself. Wild. This center battery gauge also does adjust itself to what it thinks you're going to get for realistic mileage based off of the driving conditions around you and your driving habits. If you drive harder, your total range will appear to go down. It's not that your battery is getting worse, it's just that the car is anticipating your driving style. And we can actually see in here what's been impacting our range. So these are all the estimates that the car is using to say whether we're going to achieve above or below the target range. One thing that's really annoying about this thing is it doesn't give us a battery percentage basically anywhere. It gives us like little bars and ticks, and it gives you mileages, but there is no battery percentage that you can check. Just a little annoying. One piece of information that you do get that's really nerdy is on here. This car shows you exactly how much power is being drawn from the battery, as well as how much regen that you're putting back into it. So you can see that while we're idling, the idle motors and our climate control is pulling about 2 kilowatts. And once we start moving, this yellow bar will go up. Now we're pulling 150 kilowatts. And then I get off the throttle, and you can see that we're putting about 25 back into the battery. So I really do have a lot to say about this vehicle, and before we talk about if an EV is the correct vehicle for you, we have to talk about home charging. I charge my electric vehicle at home basically every single time. I've only used a public charger 3 times, and that was only when I went on vacation in the 2 years and almost 47,000 miles of ownership that I've had with this vehicle. Public charging, like the DC fast charging, is one of the main weaknesses of this vehicle. With it limited at 55 kilowatts, it's about a third of the speed of a lot of the modern EVs. Like the F-150 Lightning charges at 150 kilowatts. That being said, with this being a smaller battery pack at 65 kilowatts total, it takes about, 30-45 minutes to get this thing from like 10% to 80% at a public charger. So it's really not too bad. It's really not been a problem for me personally owning this vehicle. That being said, one of the main advantages of daily driving an electric vehicle is the fact that every single morning you wake up with a full tank, a full charge. That 65 kilowatt battery pack makes this thing have a range of 247 miles, which is plenty for what I do. It's very rare that I drive anywhere more than 100 miles in a day, and this thing gets absolutely insane around town efficiency. You do lose a bit on the highway, but it's still a super efficient vehicle. My 70-mile daily commute would cost me maybe $1 or $2 for the charge. It makes a lot of sense. So the one thing that Chevy really nailed on this vehicle is the mix of just like luxury and just nice to haves. This thing is so quick for what it is, but we're gonna go down this way and just drive it down a little bit of B roads. Yeah, you feel that? This thing will do a front wheel drive burnout. It's got a ton of torque. That 0 to 60 time in 6.8 seconds is really funny in a vehicle like this because it's really not set up to be a sports car, but it handles very well. The battery is super low in the chassis, and you can really just throw it into corners and it performs very well. Obviously, I wouldn't want to push this thing super hard. It is just a commuter car at the end of the day, but the performance is so much higher than anything else that would be in the same price category and class. Like, you put this thing up to a gas-powered like Nissan Rogue or anything like that, I'd rather have this any day. The electric 1-speed transmission puts down the power super smooth, and I really feel like the powertrain in this is just so much more fun to drive than what you would get in the gas counterparts that would be competing with this. This thing's got a ton of power, and its standard features are just really nice to have. You have these 2 huge displays, you have a really good powertrain, and since this is a lighter EV, you do negate some of the negatives of some of those heavier EVs, like having not amazing suspension, but it's really comfortable in most situations. I really think that if you're considering an EV and you don't need something huge or insanely powerful, you should get a test drive of one of these and just try it for yourselves. It's so much better than you would expect. These are very understated vehicles. When people look at them, they kind of expect a boring vehicle, but I personally really like how this thing looks in the ice blue metallic color. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. And I think the performance of them is way better than anyone would expect them to. Couple that with the luxury features like properly nice seats, a good audio system, button layouts that actually make sense. You have physical buttons you can press to change all of your climate controls and your mode settings like sport mode, traction control, and lane keep assists. I really do wish that my LT came with adaptive cruise control in this high of a spec, but you have to have a Premiere to be able to access that, and 360 cameras. So those are the two main features that I really wanted on this that I could not find when I was looking for it. When I bought this was the last year production of it. This car is coming back actually in, I guess, early 2026, so I haven't seen too much on that, but depending on the price, it might make a lot more sense to look for something like this. You do have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, which is something that the newest version of the Bolt is going away with. I believe they are going to be fixing the DC fast charging speeds on the new one, which would be a huge addition for this thing, but I really don't think it's a big deal if you're mostly just commuting around town. This car is incredibly smooth. Both the suspension and the powertrain do a great job of just delivering the power exactly when and where you need it. The traction control works great. I've driven this thing throughout the winter, although I did have snow tires on it that did decrease the range. It climbs straight up hills in the middle of snowstorms with those on, and I had no issues with this car. You might be asking, how's the reliability been? So there has been a couple little quirks with the reliability of this vehicle, but let me go pull over into that parking lot and we'll talk about those again. So I've talked a lot about the things I like about this vehicle, but what don't I like about this thing? So the main reason that I'm going to be trading in my car is the fact that it's just too small for what I'm doing now. I bought this thing when I was doing a lot of highway commuting and before I started YouTube. So I needed something that was efficient and reliable to get me 70 miles every single day, which this thing was absolutely perfect at. But now that I need to haul bikes around, it's just a little bit too small for me to fit bikes comfortably into the back of this. And the suspension's a little soft to put them on the trailer hitch. It's possible I've been doing it, but it's not what I need. There are two very minor things that I want to point out that are a little weird about this car that annoy me, but again, they're really minor. So, like, if I hit this, turn that on, and then I hit it off, the fans are still on. I kind of wish this remembered what it was before. Another really weird thing that I've noticed is when you first enter cruise control, which this doesn't have adaptive cruise control, it's just a regular one. The first time that you hit down on the arrow, like if it just starts, it won't go down, it'll go up one, and then it will start working fine. So that's just a little bit of weirdness. Besides that, I've had the Android Auto cut out a couple times on here. Maybe 3 or 4 times total in the entire time I've had the vehicle. And it was as simple as turning off the Bolt and then turning it back on, and that fixed it. Also, another thing that I had happen to me twice was you would get into the vehicle, you would turn it on, you would hit drive, and on the screen it would say drive mode not initialized, or gear selector not available, or something like that. And that is an issue that does come up with the Bolts. Oftentimes it's caused by you trying to shift into drive before the system is fully started up. And that is really annoying to clear. The most reliable way to clear it for me is you have to not press the brake pedal and then cycle the car. That usually fixes it. But sometimes you have to make sure the remote is out of range and wait a couple minutes, and then you'll come back and it will work. Or you can disconnect the 12-volt battery. Any of those really do work for resetting it, but I would be remiss to not mention it in this video because it is something that is a little concerning, but again, hasn't been an issue. It's only happened twice in 47,000 miles, and both of them were cleared in a short amount of time. I hope this video sheds a little bit of light why I think the Chevy Bolt EUV is one of the best value entry-level electric cars on the market. If you can buy one used, you can get it at an insanely cheap price, and it delivers so much comfort, performance, and reliability for the price that I'm gonna miss this thing so much. If it wasn't for the fact that I needed a vehicle that is much bigger, I would have driven this thing until the wheels fell off of it. And I think that this thing would easily last like more than 200,000 miles. A lot of sites are showing that if you charge with level 2 speeds, you get a lot less battery degradation, and I've seen absolutely zero in my time in owning this vehicle. Despite the short period, I have put a lot of miles on it, and I have truly enjoyed the driving experience. Here we are at Litchfield Ford. This is the last time we're gonna see the Chevy Bolt as I'm trading it in now. And in a second, you'll see the new vehicle that I'm picking up. And there it is, the new F-150 Lightning. I can't wait to daily drive this thing.